judgments. Okay. We'll jump over there. Genesis chapter 1.
All right. You're not holding that John. You hold that John.
We're gonna come back to John
17:9, which you had next, and then 8:58.
Okay, go to hit the Genesis chapter 1. The Genesis chapter 1 through 4. Then we come back to that Revelations 19 and 13. I'll hit the Isaiah 33:22 with James 4 and 12.
Mm-hmm. 1 and 1 through 4.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Yah moved upon the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Okay, so what we're seeing is that Christ was the first one upon the earth, and he brought in the light. He brought in the righteousness of the world. Okay, the righteousness of the Most High God. In Revelations 19 and 13, we'll see that his name, we can go there real quick. It's only one verse that we want to see. But this ties into your John chapter 1, verse 1, where it says his name in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah. So what we're trying to do right first and foremost is establish righteousness in the earth first and foremost.
You want this at one verse or?
Yeah, just that one verse, brethren, and
Revelation 19. Yes, sir. 19:13.
The book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 13.
19.
17.
19.
19.
13.
Chapter 19, verse 13.
That's right.
Didn't read something 17 again.
Chapter 19, verse 13.
There we go.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean.
Okay, so what we see here is that the Most High said his name is the Word of Yah. Okay, in the beginning, that's who was with Yah. We see in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, he says there's a conversation between two entities. Let us make man in our image. So there's a conversation going on. There's two entities, okay? Just like in John chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah. Now we're gonna hold that, instead of holding that, we're going in the book of Sirach, in Ecclesiastics and Apocrypha. Get that Sirach chapter 19. Start at 18 and go 19 through 21, because I'm gonna reserve that verse 22 to 25 for something else. When we start breaking off the wicked.
18 through
21.
Chapter 18, verse 19 to 20.
chapter 19, verse
Chapter
18.
19.
Verse 18 and running through 21.
21. You know what, before we do that, I'm sorry, y'all, let's go to Genesis chapter 2 first. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2 so we can get the establishment of the clean and unclean, the food, the dietary laws presented to Adam and Eve first. And then we'll get into the doctrines and things of that nature that follows thereafter. Because of the free will that was laid before them, good and evil, righteousness and unrighteousness, clean and unclean. For a man to have free will, he chose. He has to choose up. So let's go, before we go to that Sirach, we're gonna hit this this Genesis chapter 2, so we can get into this dietary understanding. Genesis chapter 2, we're gonna start at verse 16, go 16 through 25. Then we jump down, then we're gonna jump over to chapter 3, 1 through 7. Get down to 24. Get in Cain and Abel, the offerings, the clean and unclean offerings, and how it refers back to the law. We'll see also how the law, there was an oral law established in the earth before the written law came forth. Okay, Adam and Eve were given the oral law, the righteousness of the commandments, statutes, and judgments. And they were commanded to follow them, that they may live forever. So we see what happened. Genesis chapter 2.
Is everybody there? Reading in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, starting at verse 16. And it reads, "And the Most High Yah commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die."
So right here, the Most High is giving a commandment unto Adam and Eve, that I have set before you good and righteousness and unrighteousness, clean and unclean. Now, I've given you trees and herbs and things of that nature that to provide you with meat and medicine. Eat from that. I've also, in the midst of this garden, is cast down a wicked tree that has knowledge of both good and evil. That I don't want you dealing with, because we can eat in two manner of ways, physically and spiritually. If you were here last week, we were talking about when sin is conceived and how we conceive sin through the mind first, and then it is regulated to the heart, and then it is manifested through our actions. Transgression is sin is transgression of the law.
That's
right.
right.
Where there's no law, there's no sin. Right. So what we have right here is that the Most High is telling Adam that I have set before you a commandment. Do this, do not do this. Read on, brother.
Verse 18, "And the Most High Yah said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And out of the ground the Most High Yah formed every beast of the field, and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof."
Okay, we can just stop right there. Jump over to chapter 3. Verse 1 through 25. What, 24? Yeah, 1 through 24.
Chapter 3. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Most High Yah had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Yah said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yah hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
So now what we see in here is a commandment of righteous eating and unrighteous eating. Now he said before them, right and wrong. What you gonna do?
She knew what it was.
She knew what it was.
She asked her
He
question.
told her.
Serpent told him.
There's a tree in the midst that has knowledge of both good and evil. Now, if we hold this, hold right here. Go, give me that book of Enoch, chapter 68, brother. The book of Enoch. All of you may not have it, so the brother gonna read some an excerpt from it. I want chapter 68, verse 6 through 8 through 16.
What verse did he know?
Started chapter 68, verse 6.
Verse 6.
And read down to 16. 10 verses. But what I wanted to show here, because Enoch was taken up into the heavens, and he was revealed a lot of things that he brought back and wrote and showed unto me and on earth. That we have a full chapter 68. That we have full understanding of his word. Most High's word ain't coming back void. He's not the author of confusion. He leaves his word intact. 6 through 16.
16. That's the chapter.
The chapter 68, verse 16 through, verse 6 through 16.
No, I'm saying,
Cause see, I ain't got the, I've had that out here.
Really?
mine goes to
That
first.
second book or third book?
Right. Which
See,
book?
that's okay. No, it's not the first book. Okay, let me read it. Okay, because I didn't even put whether it's first, second, or third.
Yeah.
Where it is breaking down the names of the fallen angels and what they taught to the men, to mankind when they landed on earth.
Yeah, that ain't one, that's in, that might be 3.
I'm gonna say 8.
Yeah, that's 30. Third.
You got that?
Hold on, give it.
See, I have a compilation
Right.
of it all.
We just read what we got for
Yeah,
time.
read what you got.
Okay, all right, I'll read this. And for those of you who are in worldwide assembly, let's go through your books of Enoch. It's in the chapter 68. I'm not sure if it's the second or third book, but it's where it breaks down the names of the fallen angels and what they taught to me. So I'll read it real quick for you guys.
Yeah, here is 14.
Okay, I don't know why mine has it. My compilations are different. Nonetheless, let me read what I have.
Yeah, read
Okay.
what you got.
All right. This is according to me, according to what I have, chapter 68, verse 6. The name of the third is Gadriel. He discovered every stroke of death to the children of men. He seduced Eve and discovered to the children of men the instruments of death, the coat of mail, the shield, and the sword for slaughter, every instrument of death to the children of men. From his hand were these things derived to them who dwell upon earth from that period forever. The name of the fourth is Penumite. He discovered to the children of men bitterness and sweetness, and pointed out to them every secret of their wisdom. He taught men to understand writing and the use of ink and paper. Therefore, numerous have been those who have gone astray from every period of the world, even to this day. For men were not born for this. Thus, with pen and with ink to confirm their faith. Since they were not created except like the angels, they might remain righteous and pure. Nor would death, which destroys everything, have affected them. But by this their knowledge they perish, and by this also its power consumes them. Because one of the things that we do as men, try to exceed in our understanding and knowledge of heavenly things, and what we do, and when first or granted understanding of certain higher things, then we exalt ourselves over our brethren. And pride takes hold of us like it did Satan.
Isaiah 65 and
That's 69, Enoch 69.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Y'all hear that? Enoch 69. Thank you, brother.
That's 68, bro.
Came up under 68.
Yours came under 68? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it's different in several books. I don't know why, but the information nonetheless is still the same. You had something, sister? Okay, let's go back to this Genesis chapter 3, so we get an understanding of this dietary laws, the laws of righteousness and unrighteousness.
Back in the book of Genesis, chapter 3, starting at verse 4, and it reads, And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for Yah doth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired, to make one wise.
So now we have desire to make one wise, a sexual appetite, but also a spiritual appetite. Because how does one become wise? Not through a sexual intercourse, but through spiritual awareness, right? So we have twofold here, but we're going to keep it in the spiritual, because the spiritual is more powerful than the flesh, and that is which came first. But we see that she's taking in some information. Her understanding is being challenged, because the first thing he asked was, what were you told? What is the law?
it was without excuse.
What's your understanding in the law? It's the same when Satan tempted Christ. He tempted him according to his knowledge in the law.
Verse 2.
The Lord gave you.
Verse 2.
Okay? We got to start getting out of this fleshly understanding of things, because it keeps us trapped in the order of Aaron. Read on, brother.
Verse 6 again. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Most High Yah walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Most High Yah amongst the trees in the garden. And the Most High Yah called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself.
Now remember, last week we were discussing how a child, when they're naked, have no understanding that they're naked in their pure innocence. Adam and Eve were in their pure innocence in the garden. Pure. We read that in the book of Enoch. It says the intention of mankind was to be created like the angels, to remain pure. Pure. How you remain pure? That's through the word of the Most High, the sanctification of the righteousness of the Most High God. Now give me that Sirach 19 and 19, start at 18 and go to 21.
Everybody there that's there?
Should be holy.
We're in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 19, verse 18. The fear of the Lord is the first step to be accepted of him, and wisdom obtaineth his love. The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life.
What?
The doctrine of life.
Okay.
And they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. The fear of the Lord is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law, and the knowledge of his omnipotency. Omnipotency. Thank you, brother. If a servant say to his master, I will not do as it pleases thee, though afterwards he do it, he angereth him that nourishes him.
So, all right, go ahead.
The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither is any time the counsel of sinners prudence. There is a wickedness and the same an abomination. There is a fool wanting in wisdom. He that hath small understanding and feareth God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresses the law of the Most High.
So Adam had small understanding, yet he feared the Most High. Yes, he feared the Most High. So therefore he had mercy upon him because he still lived. Okay, and he shall be granted into the kingdom. He shall be brought into the kingdom because he repented. He tried to run away from it. Nonetheless, he repented. And he still taught his children righteousness. How else would Abel know how to offer up righteous fruit? He had to get it from somewhere. It had to be taught him. So what we're going to do is go into this Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to see. No, we're going to finish on this chapter 3, but we're going to also see over in 4 the birth of these two children, and then the offering up their offerings. Okay, the clean and the unclean. Let's finish. Matter of fact, we can do that now. Where we leave off in
verse 11.
Verse 11. Read down to. No, just finish that on out, bro. Okay. Because reason being is because there's a punishment coming for disobeying his commandments. And so we must also see, because we're going to also see the mirror-like form of Israel transgressing the commandments of the Most High and being brought into an unclean way and defiling their way and becoming unclean because we're a holy nation. But because we want to be like the other nations who were inherently defiled, we defiled our way and became unclean. Okay, read on, brother.
I'm gonna back it up to 9 so we get the gist of this.
And we got a lot to try to cover. If you got questions, please stop so we can break it down. But we got a lot to try to cover. We're gonna be back and forth, the book of Sirach, the wisdom of Solomon, and back and forth. So we're gonna try to squeeze as much in as possible. If not, we can get together after class. I can share my notes with you all or whatever, whatever it takes for you all to get clear understanding. Okay, brother.
Verse 9 of chapter 3 in Genesis. And the Most High Yah called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Put the blame on the woman.
Y'all see here when the Most High told him, he said, who told you you was naked? He questioned him immediately. Did you do what I didn't tell you, what I told you not to do? You see how he did that? He already let out know you done something. I know, and you trying to hide.
Well, it's just like your children. When you come home and they don't want to look at you, they running. They already know you don't know but you know by the way they're acting, body language and all, something's wrong. Now you going through the house looking for what's wrong. Just like your dog. You open the door, you haven't encountered nothing yet, but they tail tucked, head down, they run into the cage trying to find refuge. Why? Because they know they're in trouble. Same likewise. Same likewise. How do we not get this? It's the same mirror of you and your children, the Most High and us, the sons of man. Read on, brother.
Verse 13. And the Most High Yah said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
So she did take in. She took in information. She took in his doctrine. He beguiled me. He seduced me. He tricked me. He gave me a whole different doctrine that was itching my ears, and I was like, that sounds good. Sound good. It's just like what when the Congress says, we don't want to hear righteous things. Prophesy unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceit. It sounds good. It sounds good. Teach prosperity, not dying for the kingdom. Who want to hear that you got to die to inherit righteousness?
Right.
Who want to hear that message? So the church teach you, oh, give me, and God gonna grant you.
Right.
Read on, brother.
Verse 14. And the Most High Yah said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Y'all see all this eating? There's a lot of eating going on here. But we don't see no apple. There's a lot of eating going on here. Because there's no apple. Spiritual. Like when we go into Proverbs chapter 30 and he breaks it down, the adulterous woman, she eateth and wipeth her mouth and said, I have done no wickedness. To be an adulterous woman, you have to do what?
Committing
a sexual act against your husband, right? What was done right here? Ain't it an adulterous act going on?
Yes, sir. She saw that tree was good for food.
Huh?
She saw that tree was good for food back up there.
There's adultery going on. Read on, brother.
Verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Now you see what he says? Adam hearkened to the voice of his wife and did eat. He hearkened unto her voice. So she, in like manner, gave him the same doctrine that Satan gave her and taught her. We don't have to do it in a righteous manner. We can do it for the sake of lust.
Right.
Because lust now entered into the word. Because now what we have is an unrighteous union going on. Lust is now entered, along with pride. Because the first thing Adam did was deny it and put the blame, like, no, I'm still good. She did.
Mhm.
What's she doing like manner? The serpent did.
Woman now gave it to me.
So now we got the point now. Wasn't me, he did.
Mhm.
He said, wasn't me, she did. But nobody's acknowledging they're wrong in this matter. So guess what? Everybody getting punished. Just like at home.
Yep.
Ain't nobody gonna take the blame for it. Everybody line up.
Then when you
Everybody line up. And now everybody like, oh man,
Yep.
you didn't take the, man, take the hit.
Yep.
You did. No,
After you get it
The
from
blame
your parents,
game.
you're gonna get it from your siblings who you got in trouble.
the blame game.
They hope it's gonna be a double up.
Read on, brother.
What you got, sis?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to know if you could back up a little bit and read verse 6 of that same chapter.
6.
Uh-huh.
read it over.
Yeah, we can do that, sis. Yeah. You said a little bit, girl. We on 18. We go back to 6 now. All right, verse 6 of Genesis in the 3rd chapter. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Now my question is, with I was trained. I can't say told, I say trained because I was in Christianity first before coming here. It was told me that Adam was far off when she was eating at the tree, but here it said that Adam was right there with her. Basically,
Or they're in the same vicinity.
right, but basically saying that he must have been sitting there watching her, waiting to see what was gonna happen to her.
No, because you'll see in the book of Jasher, Joseph said the same thing happened to him that happened to Adam.
Yeah.
Joseph was out making, he was a carpenter by trade. He was out building houses or doing his profession. When he came home, Mary was pregnant. He said the same thing that happened to me that happened to Adam. Adam was off doing his business of naming the animals and things of that nature. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to. Go home and take care of your house.
Even if
Like we have brethren that say, that abandon their house and they say, I'm doing the work of the Most High. But your house is in disarray.
Let me read this is the concordance for of the fruit thereof is H 54:14. I did it wrong. Okay, that thing. My bad. It's 65:29. Kari, fruit of produce of the ground, fruit, offspring, children, progeny of the womb, fruit of actions, figuratively, fruit literally, figuratively, bought, first fruit, reward.
Okay.
So that's what the fruit thereof is. It could be all any of those things.
Well, I'm not talking about the fruit stuff, I'm talking about the action.
Well, sister, if you look at it in the context that we say sometimes that, say you know, I'm a man and I'm at, say, a little lounge with my rib. We sitting there having a drink. I get up and go to the bathroom. The nigga at the next table slip her his number while I'm gone. I just walk away. As soon as I come back, how do I know what happened? And say she took his number. You see what I'm saying?
That's what talking about taking it.
That's what she took from him. And then she called him, and then she's getting with him, and then she come back to me and say, hey baby, check this out, let's try this. You see what I'm saying? That's the same thing that happened. Is that Adam was there, but they weren't standing right there, because if you notice,
A snake ain't gonna mess with you while you're
go to
making.
Adam first. He didn't go to Adam first. He went to the weaker vessel. Slipped in, hollered at her, and she responded. What if Adam said no?
He's not gonna, a snake ain't gonna approach the man of the house, the king. It's gonna approach the weaker vessel because he's trying to get in. Just like a man who gives his friend strong drink, and then goes in unto his neighbor's bed. A snake cat ain't gonna talk to you while your man right there.
No.
That's what's making him a snake. He's slithering around the righteousness. He's not coming in through the front door. He's trying to come in another way.
Okay, what do with her mean?
Huh?
Why do it say with her?
And gave also unto her husband with her.
With her.
She brought him the same information that she was fed from Satan.
Right. He wasn't standing there.
She shared that information, that doctrine with her mate.
Right.
So when the Lord said, "Thou did eat also," he means that what she gave you, you got involved in as well. So that's why when he said, "Adam, you did wrong," no, the woman did first. But see, if Satan, can't speak on if whatever would have happened, but Satan didn't come to Adam first. Adam being the man, he was talked about it both sides. Satan said, "Well, Adam ain't gonna go for this. Adam ain't gonna go for this because to take over a man's house, you must first what? Bind that strong man." So Satan didn't come in talking about, "I'm finna bind Adam and take over the garden." No, he slipped in subtly and hollered at Eve. And what Eve presented Adam sounded good. That's why he told Adam that your husband, Eve, that your husband is gonna rule over you.
Are you still not getting it, sister?
That part in verse 6 where it says, and gave also unto her husband with her, like he was with her.
Like he was standing, it's like she just gave the example of it. It's as if Satan was standing in front of Adam and Eve, but he only talking to her. If you, any man would know that a cat come up in y'all presence and his attention is only on your wife, you know something wrong. You know something's wrong, so you either gonna get her out of that situation or you gonna check him. Like, I see what's happening.
Let me ask you this, not to cut you off, brother. Let me try to put it to you real simple like this. We all in this room. You in this room, and say, for instance, your husband in the same room. You might be over there. Your husband may be over there.
Yeah.
Is he with you? He's with
But
you here.
but he's not
He's with you here, but he's not with you over in that particular spot.
Right.
No, they was in the garden.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We'll get with you after class, sister, and we'll clear it up. But we got to move on. We got a lot to get through. We'll get with you after class so we can clear up that understanding. All right, sister?
I got a question, just a quick question.
You got it? We'll
make
still
sure
get
we
with
got
you.
This is a quick question.
Yeah.
So right there, you was saying that the man or whoever is supposed to take care of home first. So you're supposed to take care of home first before you do ministry. So you can't
got it.
do
Yeah.
ministry unless your home is.
First Timothy.
Okay, that's
Right.
We go to First Tim, man, because that's what Christ did. When a lot of people talk about, well, the Gentiles can't come into it because salvation is of the Jews only. No, after he was resurrected, he said, go and preach the word to every living creature. But he had, according to the law, Most High has to stay within the guidelines which was set before man.
Right.
So he can't be accused. So likewise, he had to take care of his household first, get Israel in order first. Then I could take it. It's just like when he says, you shall be a light unto the Gentiles. Israel get it first, you teach the Gentiles. It's only Jew and Gentile. Okay? So there's a natural order. So when Christ came, he had to get his own children together, his own household in order, before he extended that righteousness and salvation to others. Because then he can be accused as an infidel, worse than an infidel. Because he didn't take care of his own house. So you can't accuse the Most High and his begotten Son. Never. No guile, no deceit, no sinning, none of that. That's on us. Any other questions?
Scripture, y'all keep going.
Dre?
Prior to verse 6,
I'm sorry, brother.
prior to verse 6, there was no unrighteousness in the garden.
None.
The verse 6 is where it's going to end the fire.
Thank you. Thank you.
So even though the serpent approached her, beguiled her, she still knew what the law was because her husband taught her.
Exactly.
She was
Right,
right.
right, because he was without excuse.
Most High brought her to Adam. That was her father first.
She knew the law.
She knew right.
So when she took in
Unrighteous doctrine.
and brought it, when she took it in, had Adam still been true, we still would be good.
We could, because he could have corrected that wrong.
Right.
Had he
Right.
not, because he's her covering.
But once he took
But he took it in too, not death is abound. Because the cover now is ripped, is torn. The veil is ripped. There's no more covering. There's no righteous covering.
So everything we're doing right now, we're trying to get back to righteousness.
We're trying to get back to the Garden of Eden. That's what Revelations is about. Going back to the righteous way of living, which was the Garden of Eden. Getting back to the original. That's what it's all about. Any other questions? Okay, let's read on, brother. We finished with that. Let's read on, so we can get moving, because we gotta move. I know this time is ripping by us. So we're not gonna cover everything that I got down, y'all. But like I said, I'll be more than happy to give you my notes that you can study and break these things down and learn them and understand them, so that when you're faced with these same questions and things of this nature, you have, and likewise have an answer. Because that's what it's about, us being able to give an answer, a righteous answer. Read on, brother.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 18. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also and to his wife did the Most High Yah make coats of skin and clothe them. But see right there, that's why they got the coats of skin, because before they were just spiritual beings. And the wages of sin is skin, because this dies. Adam was created to live immortal. He was supposed to live forever. But since he tripped, they got kicked out of the garden and they got this. So see, that's why we're trying to get back to where we're supposed to be spiritually.
Israel is kicked out of his land because of our defilement, uncleanness ways. We're going to see that. Ezekiel 36, where he says our ways are like the ways of a removed woman. That's nasty. That's nasty. If we go into the books of Leviticus 17, 18, we see the uncleanliness of the body, the issues from the body.
Yeah, this corruptible flesh.
Read on, brother.
Verse 22. And the Most High Yah said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil.
To know what?
To know good and evil.
So now he's placed before us the clean and the unclean. I'm gonna give you another prime example real quick. You take a virgin child, a virgin girl or boy. Up until they lose their virginity, they doing all the righteousness of their parents. They go to school, They do their homework. They do everything that is commanded of them without leaning to the left or the right. Because they're pure, innocent. Once they are exposed to the other side, now you got to worry. Why do parents worry after their child get a taste? Because now their minds are open to both good and evil. Now you got to wonder, are you going to school? Are you at school on time? Where were you? You weren't where you supposed to be. First thing coming to mind is, are they with that little boy or that little girl? Innocence gone.
Gone.
Now they are exposed to, should I do right? Or should I follow the lust of my heart and do wrong? Eyes are open now. Up until that point, they had no idea. It's just like with the drugs. Until they taste the fruit of that foulness, they don't know nothing about blowing all your money or stealing your money, your parents' money, and pawning their goods for dope. Don't have any idea of all those things. I've seen it happen to some of the best people that you could ever meet. The first thing we say, them? How did they fall? How did they fall from grace? Come from a good stock, goodly background. Look at them now. Withered away, dried up, dead, unclean, unkept. Right? That's right, come on.
Verse 22. And the Most High Yah said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore the Most High Yah sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the end of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
We're gonna see jump just right into 4. So now we can start getting into this dietary law to bring it forth how Cain and Abel brought forth their sacrifices. One was accepted, one was not. Okay, and this also proves that the laws were in the earth before the written law. How else did they know what was good to sacrifice and what was not? But we also see the training and the teaching of doctrine from these two fathers, Adam and Lucifer, or Satan, I should say. Let's start at 4. You start verse 3. Verse 3, go down to 16.
Okay.
And then after that, I want you to jump in. We're gonna jump back into this apocrypha, and we see what this following the unrighteousness of your unrighteous father. We get also into that 1 John 3, but we're gonna jump into this Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, and see this offspring of this those who deny the righteousness of the Most High, what they considered in the eyes of the Most High, uncleanness.
All right, Genesis chapter 4, verse 3. Everybody there? And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and unto his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
So we see in verse 3 and 4, It says that Cain, now we dealing with sacrifices now. And Cain was a tiller of the ground, so he was a gardener. Abel was a keeper of sheep. Cain brought forth fruit from the ground. But you notice Abel bought the firstling of his flock. If we go into the book of Exodus and we see the laws of sacrifice, Exodus chapter 23, verse 16 through 19, Exodus chapter 34, 19, it says, everything that is first that enters the matrix shall be mine. All the first fruits belong to the Most High. That's his. Israel is his first fruit. Matter of fact, let's hit that Exodus chapter 34, 19 through 20, Exodus 23, 16 through 19, Deuteronomy 15, 19. These all refer to the law of sacrifice and how the Most High says the first that enters the matrix or the womb belongs to him. So all of our firstborn children should be dedicated to the Most High. When we crack open some liquor and everything, the first drink should be to the Most High. Most High gets the first toll. The drink offering.
You said Exodus 19?
No.
Exodus
34, 19 through 20.
Mhm.
Exodus 23, 16 through 19, Deuteronomy 15, 19, Exodus 13, 2 through 6.
Can't nobody write that fast, man.
Let me slow down. Exodus chapter, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. You know, when the spirit start flexing on you, you start flexing with it. Exodus 34. Verse 16 through 19.
No, that's 23, 16 through 19. 34, 19 through 23. Or 19 and 20.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said 16 through 19.
I'm
That's
sorry, bro.
23.
I'm sorry. All right, slow down. We got Exodus 34, 19 through 20, right?
Yes, sir.
Exodus 23, 16 through 19.
Okay.
You got that?
Uh-huh.
Exodus 13, 12 through 6, 2 through 16, I'm sorry. 2 through 16.
Exodus second.
Exodus 13, 2 through 16.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 15 and 19, I'm sorry, 19.
15 and 19.
All right. Okay, Exodus 34, verse 19. All right. Verse 19. All that open the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the firstlings of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then shalt thou break his neck. All the firstborn of thy sons shalt thou redeem, and none shall appear before me empty.
Okay, so the Most High say the first thing that enters the matrix is mine. The matrix also meaning the earth. Adam was the first to enter the matrix of the earth. Hit that Hebrews chapter 6, 1 and 6, and Revelations 1 and 5, and we see that Christ is the first fruit as well. We have to get into the spiritual aspect of things and this spiritual understanding of this book. Everything relates back to Christ, the beginning, righteousness, pure. Everything goes back. It's a mirror reflection of getting back to righteousness. We got to get the spiritual the fleshly mindset and understanding out of it. Because as long as we stay in the fleshly understanding, then guess what? We're going to remain earthly. We are supposed to mature in this word, in this walk. Like a baby is supposed to grow up. A baby don't remain a baby, an infant forever, do it? You feed it, it's supposed to grow, nurture it, so that it grows properly. You give it laws, statutes, and judgments at an early age so that it knows how to find its way back when it gets, by peradventure, it gets lost along the way, right? That's what these instructions are for us.
Train up a child.
Then when we go out through the wilderness, we find our way back. Peradventure, we get lost. What do we call now? The lost tribes of Israel. Why?
We don't know where we at. None of the rest of us.
Because we've been stripped of all of our heritage and our understanding and doctrine of righteousness and life. Why? Through disobedience. You put your child on a punishment because of what? Disobedience. You whoop their butt for what? Disobedience. Likewise. And you do it because what? You love them. And you want them to be able to handle themselves in this dangerous world when they're alone without your guidance, right? Our God never left us, but he's not here walking amongst this earth with us right now. So he left us commandments. He left us understanding. Behave yourself. Wherever you go, whether you be at your house or whether you be at your stranger's house.
One more read, because you know better.
Yeah.
That's right. You know that. When your cousin, when the little cousins come over to the house, who gets butt whipping first? Your children. Then it's reciprocated to those who came after them. But they get it worse. Because they know better. They were supposed to teach them how to behave in your house, in your kingdom. And they did. And if he gets grown enough beside himself, what you do? Kick him out. You so rebellious. You at a point of at the age of accountability to handle your own dealings. Feed yourself. You healthy? Huh? No, I'm just saying when a man becomes a man where he can work for a living and feed himself. Now, if you have a child in your house that's at that point and he gets beside himself where he says, I'm grown, I don't have to follow your commandments anymore. You got to go. Because you at an age you can provide for yourself. I don't have to provide for you any longer. Daddy don't. All right, let's get back to it, y'all.
I'm gonna read this Hebrews, y'all. He wanted as a second witness, real quick. This 1:6. And again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, he saith, and let all the angels of God worship him. That's your second witness to that first fruits. I'm talking about the Messiah.
What
you wanted that Hebrews.
And then I want that
Revelation or something?
Revelation 1 and 5.
Revelation chapter 1 verse 5 says, and from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood.
There we go again. Now give me Exodus. Oh, man. I need some bananas, man. Let me get that, bro. Ooh, right. Low in potassium, man. I'm getting old.
Keep getting
Give me that Exodus 4:22, and then I need Jeremiah 31 and 9, where you're gonna see that Israel is also the first fruit. Thank you, brother. Exodus 4:22 and Jeremiah 31.
Okay.
And Jeremiah 31 and 9. But we see that Cain and Abel had understanding of sacrifice, righteous sacrifice and unrighteous sacrifice. Cain chose not to give a righteous sacrifice. He gave, well, I'll give him this. I ain't giving him my good stuff. I'm saving it for myself. But I'm gonna give him this. I gave him something.
Right.
I didn't come empty-handed. Yeah, you did. Because it wasn't accepted. Might as well have been empty-handed. It's just like somebody bringing a used, torn-up toy to the party. It's like, here you go.
It's a thought that counts.
It's the thought that because the parent gonna look and say, who the hell gave you that? Go see the child trying to play with some discombobulated and everything. Who the hell gave you something like that? They won't be invited to the next party.
Yes.
Them kind of gifts y'all give. Mr. Thoughts that count.
What's the question, sis?
I wanted to ask, how often, when they did have to sacrifice their goods to the Holy God, how often was it? Was it certain times of the year, or was it?
Yeah, there was and then there's sin offerings. There was various sacrifices. There were sacrifices specifically for ceremonies, feast days, sins, drink offerings, meat offerings, peace offerings, sin offerings. I mean, we had them from all things until Christ came. He's the ultimate sacrifice. That's why the Levites didn't have no servile work to do. You know, they ministered unto the 12 tribes the word of the Most High, because they were also dealing with the day-to-day issues in Israel, problems, contentions, disputations, all those things that we deal with on our day-to-day life. They had to minister unto those different issues amongst our whole nation. And so therefore they were always busy. So they couldn't go out and, you know, be carpenters and things of that nature, because they were always ministering to the 12 tribes of Israel according to their daily issues and offenses. And so we all had jobs. So what we did is we all pulled together and furnished them their drinks, their food, their clothing, and things of this nature, because they never had time to do those things for themselves. So we supplied them with that. That was their inheritance. Their inheritance is the Most High God. How about you, had it?
Oh, so after Yeshua died, and you know, so the Levites didn't have any more work in the temple, right?
No, because see, they started perverting judgment. Eleazar's sons were some of the first ones that started just clowning. They got so bad that they started. We're gonna read a lot of this, how Israel became tainted and everything with the mixed blood and everything. We're gonna have to also get an understanding of the difference between strange and stranger. And also when we talk, because people love to go to Ezra chapter 9 about Israel getting rid of all of the mixed marriages and the mixed children and everything. But you have to understand a lot of these mixed children came from households that were still worshiping pagan gods. Because if it wasn't so, then we got a problem with Ruth. There's a problem with Zephora. There's a problem with Cornelius. There's a problem with Timotheus. You see, so you got a lot of Israel that want to get on some black nationalist movement, and they think that no salvation can be granted to no one outside of Israel. Well, we're gonna do away with all that in today.
Yep, and they need to be worried about themselves.
Because we dealing with the clean and unclean. Okay.
Hebrews 7:27. Like it's like Numbers 29.
Repeat that again. Oh.
Hebrews 7:27.
7 Hebrews 7:27.
Numbers 29.
About dealing with the daily sacrifice. Thank you, brother. And everybody get that?
Numbers 29.
Numbers 29, verse 6.
I'm sorry, yo, I got.
Say it again, Obed.
Numbers 29, verse 6. Hebrews 7, verse 27. Mention that the daily sacrifice. Typical fishing and shaving sacrifice.
I pray for this brother moving like an old man.
Easy moving.
Thank God he moving though. Yeah, go lay it down. Hey, go get you some ginger, brother. Some raw ginger. See how
Stiff back too, boy.
boy, it just don't stop. Just don't stop. Love you back, brother. Boy, it's great.
Man.
You gonna do it the way we gonna do it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Don't stay bent over. Broken down. All right. Where we at, brother?
You wanted that
Hebrews 7:27.
Did we hit that Hebrews? Or oh, okay, that was witnesses to the sacrifices. Did we hit that Jeremiah 31:1? I mean 31:9.
No, and Exodus 4:22.
Okay. All right, let's get them.
Yeah. The book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus said the Most High, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
Mark it.
Jeremiah 31:9.
Hold on there before you read it. Get a worldwide fan time to get there.
If you see any questions from my brother, let us know, man, what the world is asking.
Yes, sir.
So that we can all be on one accord, because that's very important. We cannot leave our brethren. No child left behind. Not in the words of Bush, in the words of Christ.
Go for it.
Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 9. They shall come with weeping and with supplication will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and to Ephraim is my firstborn.
So we see likewise that Israel and likewise of Christ, we the firstborn to the covenant of righteousness. Okay, let's go back to this. Was we finished with that 4? That Genesis chapter 4, 2 through 7. Let's see where we. If so, I want to hit this wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha. No, we wasn't finished where we
stopped at 4, we had 5.
Okay. Hit that 5, 6, and 7. No, we're gonna have to go down to verse 15. And then we finna start moving around because we got a lot to try to cover. What time is it?
3 o'clock.
Okay, we got a couple of hours to get in, but you know, time flies, especially when we start hitting and reading and things of that nature. So, going to finish out that 4, so we can get to the examples of the dietary laws, both the food and the doctrine.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 5. But unto Cain and to his offering he made not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door.
So it's just like, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
So the Most High just told Cain, if you do right, you'll be counted as righteous. But if you do wrong, you'll be counted as unrighteous. Just like in Ezekiel chapter 3 and Ezekiel chapter 33, he said, if a man turn from his wickedness and become righteous, isn't he counted as righteous? And likewise, if a man fall from his righteousness and become unrighteousness, isn't he also counted unrighteous? Most High didn't put out here for us to die. That's not his intent, that man die. But man come into the full understanding of righteousness and change his ways. But unfortunately, Cain couldn't change his ways, because we'll see he further and furthered his punishment, his sin. Let's read on.
Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him.
Okay, go ahead.
16.
Actually, you can stop right there. You can stop right there, brother. Let's turn to this Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha. And you also see that Cain was cast out like Adam and Eve out of the garden through disobedience. Right? You also mark these as for your references to this Genesis, what's going on in the garden. Ezekiel 28, Revelations 12. We're talking Ezekiel 28 is talking about Lucifer being in the garden and how pride, he was cast down. Okay, he landed on earth, and that's who was in the garden persecuting the woman. You see in Revelations 12, it talks about the serpent that persecuted the woman. This is also dealing with Mary, and how when you see in Genesis, it says, I shall put enmity between his seed and thy seed. Then that unrighteous seed has always had enmity perfect hatred towards the righteous seed. So there was always the dark side versus the light and dark, okay? Satan had to get his seed started on earth as well to combat. The Antichrist is his child. Any ones that follows the doctrine of Satan is his child. We see that in 1 John chapter 3. Luke, I'm sorry. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, 21 through 31, and then also Sirach chapter 16, 1 through 4. Also, that tree in the midst of the garden, you see also that tree is that same stock that people find out and follow in the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and 65, who profess their commitment and their discipline behind that one stock, that tree in the midst. That's that doctrine of devils that they commit to and they profess to. Shalom, brother. Shalom, bro. Okay, we'll hit that too, but we gotta move into these things. Wisdom of Solomon.
Got his head? Yeah. You ready?
You started
21 to 31.
Okay, yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 21. And this was an occasion.
Is everybody there? Hold on, brother. Hold on. Is everybody there? Okay.
If you don't have it, I got it on the board. For some reason, I can't make it as big as I need to.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 21. And this was an occasion to deceive the world, for men serving either calamity or tyranny did ascribe unto stones and stocks the
Incommunicable
name.
And if you read back, if you go back up, it's talking about how men are people who loved kings and everything. After these kings or people of power had died, they would hire artists to paint images of these people, and they would honor them as gods. Okay, so likewise, when we have people that's worshiping idols and things of this nature and ascribing to them names of gods and things of that nature, or placing the name of the Most High God upon these things, is evil. It's wicked. But we should never replicate the image of any man or anything. Just like in Deuteronomy 4, he says we should not make to ourselves graven images to worship. So likewise, as artists, and me being an artist, there's a very thin line that I must walk, that someone may ask me to paint, commission me to paint an image. I have to be very careful that image is not being an image of worship. Mm-hmm. I've had a church come to me to commission me to paint a mural in their basement, and they wanted a mural of the Last Supper. And I just painted a group of brothers around the table eating dinner. And what happened was the pastor got kind of upset, and he was like, well, who is Christ? And I said, I don't know. So he said, well, we can't distinguish. He said, we can't distinguish which one is the Christ. I said, I can't either.
Y'all want to back up what you're saying. When you back up to verse 12, it says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
That's good.
And the invention of them, the corruption of life.
That's right.
That's where it stores it.
Read that all the way down,
Yeah.
brother, because I actually meant to start there, and I'm trying to save a little time, but no, we got to get the full understanding of what's going on here. So we understand this is a spiritual wickedness, man, that we draw ourselves. We have to be very, very careful of what we place in. We have a lot of our people that have these images up in their houses and everything. Oh, that's God. That's Jesus. You can't even have a black one.
See,
It's not right.
Now with this, man, we need.
That's why the Most High said, no man can look upon me and live, because we'll make merchandise out of it. Like we making merchandise out of everything now. Man, we'll sell everything.
Yeah, he coming back.
Verse 12.
Yeah, come on down, brother.
For the devising of idols
That's right.
was the beginning of spiritual fornication,
That's right.
and the invention of them, the corruption of life.
But you should back that up.
You know what? I'm sorry, man.
Yeah,
I gotta back up, man, because I'm sorry, y'all. World Wide Web, please accept our apologies. But sometimes, we get into script and then, the eye gets to wander and we want to get straight to the point. However, sometimes we have to back it up because we're missing some of the good meat of the map. So back it up to 8.
I say 5.
5?
Yeah.
Back it up to 1. Back it up to 1. All right. Here we go.
Okay, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1.
Shalom, IG.
Again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carried him.
Now you understanding that, right? He putting his faith in this rotten piece of wood. Carry on.
For verily, desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by his skill. But the providence, O Father, governeth it. For thou hast made a way in the sea, and a safe path in the waves, showing that thou canst save from all danger, yea, though a man went to sea without ark. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing through the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by the hand escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation.
Talking about Noah.
Verse 7. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it.
That's right.
He because he made it, and it because being corruptible, it was called God.
And so we see likewise in the book of Isaiah, chapter 44, where he tells us and warns us, those who are crafty, like us artists who have been given a true blessing to create, just like our Creator. However, there's a thin line of what we can create and what we can't. Okay?
Verse 9.
So don't ever ask me to paint you no images of the Most High and things of that nature. It ain't gonna happen. I paint you a picture of a brother. But what? Don't you think? I ain't doing it. Now, what you put on there after it leaves my hand, that's on you. Right. Just like that preacher, I told him, hey, whatever you put on there, that's on you and your congregation, not me. I painted what you asked. You said the Last Supper, I painted the Last Supper of some brothers breaking bread.
No halos. No halos.
He wanted a halo and a cloven. I said, man, I don't know who it is. He said, but they all look alike. I said, yeah, they do, don't they? Truly, brethren. Freedom, brother.
For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto Elohim. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the dividing of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever.
So these guys went around. You heard the Kemetic and the Egyptologists talking about Horus and all them little crazy knucklehead, half beasts, half men were around before the Most High and His only begotten Son. Negro, please. And then this is the crazy thing. They give honor and praise to these pagan gods who are half beasts and half men, and then gay.
Right.
How wicked can you be? And you say that's your God? So I asked them, are you following the ways of your God? Your God is gay. It's your God. He's a faggot. The coffin text says so. We didn't write on their roll. But it goes to show you how these Negroes so want to be so elevated in higher knowledge that they ain't even researching their own doctrine. If they did, they'd have cast it to the side. Nasty. Real nasty. Read on, brethren.
For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come surely to an end. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child, soon taken away. Now honored him as a God, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
We can stop there and jump on down, but this is something that was became real prominent in Rome, Greece, and all these pagan lands, these pagan heathen countries.
Talking about Caesar Borgia.
That's what I was just about to say, Cesare Borgia. Yeah.
But this became a prominent practice amongst them, where all the popes and everything, they start, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and other artists that came back in those times were being paid and commissioned by the Roman Church, the papal, to paint images, to erect these mortal men as gods, so that those that came after them or those who were subjects in their kingdoms saw them as gods. It's the same way as Pharaoh and them, when they had statues built and erected in all throughout Egypt, and they projected themselves as gods, larger than life, so that when people encountered these enormous statues and everything, they fell and they feared them, because these were supposed to be the direct images or replicas of that man sitting on the throne. But they all in the graves. You should be like God, but die like me. And Pharaoh is considered the God on earth, just like the Pope is considered the God on earth. They call him the Holy Father. That's what they call him. He's very unholy. Very unholy. Nasty. Abominable. Freaky. Read on, brother.
Verse 16.
Oh, I want you to jump down, for the sake of time, jump down to verse 20, because you already read that 21, right? Oh, okay. We'll just read on down. All right.
Verse 16. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far.
Visage,
Visage from far.
which means face.
And made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent, as if he were present. Also the singular diligence of the artificer, they help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition. For he, peradventure willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored as a man. And this was an occasion to deceive the world, for men serving either calamity or tyranny, and they ascribed unto stones and stocks incommunicable name. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of Elohim. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called a peace. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. But either one slew another traitorously, or grieved him by adultery.
So we start clowning with each other. We start creeping in each other's houses, winking at each other's wives, become Masons, Hellenistic Negroes, Kappas, Qs, Sigma, Data, Delta, whatever, all that junk. Secret ceremonies and rites, because we want to have some allegiance to something that we think is great. We want to have the affiliation of those who are entitled, so-called entitled.
Right.
So we want to be a part of something. We don't want to be a slave. We don't want to be a Negro. We don't want to be at the bottom. I want to be a part of something of the elite, the bourgeois. So I'm going to join a fraternity. So I've counted upon the numbers. Look how fraternity or people in fraternities and sororities look down upon those who don't pledge. Like you ain't nothing. You didn't pledge when you went to college? Man, I was in college, I saw these Negroes pledging, being humiliated. I'm like, Negro, you gonna give you just to be a part of something? They dog walking you and making mockery out of you through the campus. Pulling one with rope and all. I'm like, man, all just to be a part of something?
Got you eating dog food?
Crazy, man.
I seen a video where they had some brothers laying down on the ground. It was called something. They put raw eggs in their mouth, and they would roll over to each other and put the egg in their mouth.
Oh, man.
And the last guy, when he got his mouth, he just swallowed.
Oh. Yeah.
Hazy.
Hazy.
My oldest years ago had pledged, and she was telling me that there was a young other girls that wanted to pledge, but they said no, they're not going to go through that. They were going to do it on paper, meaning you have the credentials, you just sign and pay. And she said, oh, that they ain't about nothing because they didn't do what we did, so we don't give them no respect. I said, what? So yeah, they terrible with that.
Yeah, but it's the same likewise in gang life. You get courted in.
Yeah.
Real gangbangers. There's a courting in. Now, yeah, nowadays you got little cats that just got some money and they go to the Walmart or wherever, Family Dollar, and they get a bandana and they claim it, false flagging. But real bangers get courted in. You get jumped in or you gotta commit a crime. You have to show your allegiance, and you only show your allegiance by doing what they have to do so that they know you down.
Right.
It's saying likewise, a lot of times we persecute our family and say, oh, you're a devil worshiper because they either celebrate pagan days and everything. But in order for one to follow Satan, he has to understand his ways, his laws, statutes, and judgments. You can't just slander somebody and say you're a devil worshiper because you do this. Most of them don't even have a clue. A lot of our people just do it out of ignorance because it's a free day to kick it off the job, off the plantation, or woo-woo. A lot of them don't have a clue about what it takes to be committed to Satan. So we have to be very careful how we label our loved ones who are really not following that way. They just don't have no understanding. Now, whether or not they want it or when they heard and rejected, that's a whole nother deal. That's a whole nother level of the game. But we can't just slanderously, accuse our people of being devil worshipers and they have no understanding of it. Because see, Satan has his laws, statutes, and judgments that makes them disciplined and committed to his side, just like the Most High. They have a satanic Bible, all of that. So we have to be real careful of how we treat our own loved ones and not falsely accuse them. Read on, brother.
Verse 25. So that there reign in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good terms, defiling of souls, changing of kind, changing of kind.
Y'all know what that means?
Yeah.
Transgender.
Bruce Jenner.
Changing up, talking about God. I don't like what God made me. So I think I was born in a man's body, but I think like a woman, so therefore I'm a woman. Crazy. Baby even disagree with that. The baby was like, that's nasty. Read on, bro.
Disorder in marriages.
Disorder in what?
Disorder in marriages. Adultery and shameless uncleanness.
Shameless uncleanness. Shameless uncleanness. This is all what happened in the garden. Disorder in marriage. Wasn't that a disorder? Because she followed the doctrine of Satan, not her husband. That's a disorder in the marriage. Was that not a marriage between Adam and Eve? The Most High brought her and presented her to Adam, like a father presents his daughter in marriage to her husband. But before he does that, he gives her instructions. So she had the instructions. Because the first thing Satan asked her, what do you know about righteousness? What's your order? What's clean? What's unclean? Hit this, jump to this, did we finish that, brother? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Read that on out and then hit this, Sirach, chapter 16, 1 through 4. Then we'll jump down to these meats. And then this doctrine and nations, and then we'll close out.
Verse 27. For the worshiping of idols, not to be named, is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. For either they are mad when they be merry, or prophesy lies, or live unjustly, or else lightly forswear themselves. For insomuch as their trust is in idols which have no life, though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt. Howbeit, for both causes shall they be justly punished, both because they thought not well of Yah, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly swore in deceit, despising holiness. For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of the sinner that punish always the offense of the ungodly.
Let's sit on that, bro.
Who's good?
At Sirach
Sirach,
16.
Sirach, let me see. Give me Sirach 16, 1 through 1 through 6, yeah.
Shabbat shalom, Mark.
Shabbat shalom, brethren.
The house of B Hood.
This is a B-Hood production.
Sure is. Oh, man.
Also called Ecclesiastes. Everybody got that one.
In the book of Sirach, chapter 16, verse 1. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. Though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them. Trust not though in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000, and better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly.
So he says it's better to not have any children than to give birth to some godly bastard ass children. Will not a bastard child disgrace you? A child with no understanding will disgrace the hell out of you. Shame you to the ends of the earth. By the time he make it back to you, boy, your name is mud. Somebody come raise it. Is this your? This living don't belong to you. What? Let me tell you what he did. You like, oh God. Wow. How much shame do you think Absalom brought David? Where do you think these old foul children came from? Some foul ass intercourse. Foul relations with foul women. That's what happened in Ezra chapter 9, man. You know, when we were having all these mixed multitude of children by strange women, but these strange women were women who were still practicing their crafts. They never let go of their gods. That's why he says, marry not into these heathen nations that don't understand or have no knowledge of the Most High. Good. But we can't say it's for all, because also in the books of Leviticus, it says that the strangers should be like a brethren and a sister to us if they follow our righteous ways and circumcise their flesh and their hearts. So we got two different types of strangers here.
You forgot foul men too.
Foul men first and foremost, sister, because we came first. And we're supposed to be the covering. We're supposed to teach our weaker vessels. Thank you for that correction. I don't want to seem biased here. But yeah, it goes for us all.
Sister got a question.
Yes, sister.
Thank you for going over this. I'm struggling with this very topic, and support and trying to help me with what classifies a a strange woman and Ezra 9 and 10. I was under the understanding that Ezra 9 and 10 was talking to all of us, but women of another nation, not just women who are practicing idolatry or whatever their craft is. But the true understanding is a strange woman. If they're following the way, they're okay. You can marry someone, I guess, of another nation.
Well, we're seeing, matter of fact, let's go to that Leviticus where the priest has an order about giving their marriage to a stranger, marrying their daughter to a stranger. So it's in the law. Let's go to Leviticus.
You gonna hold this?
Yeah, let's hold that. Let's get this Leviticus. Well, Leviticus chapter 22. Talks about
Ten, 13.
11 and 12. We can start
Did you have him to look up the word strange?
yeah, let's get that definition strange for me. And we'll also see that there's two, strange is strange, strange is abnormal. See, stranger, something different. Now, stranger could also mean one from a whole different nation, from a whole different land. We were strangers before. When we left Egypt, a lot of strangers left with us. A lot of Egyptians left with us. Zipporah was not a Hebrew Israelite. Neither was Ruth. Believed in the Most High and His only begotten Son. Circumcised their heart and flesh. If it weren't for Zipporah, Moses would be dead. David came through the lineage of Ruth, through Ruth. That was his grandma. She was a Moabitess. Now you got Israelites say, no, she was an Israelite. It don't say that. It says she was a Moabitess. And we try to force feed everybody to be Israel because we get stuck on this black nationalist movement thing and we trust in the flesh. But the Most High said his heritage is that of a speckled bird. You ever seen a speckled bird? It's a white bird with various shades of brown, black, and yellow spots all over. So we range from blue, black to high yellow.
The strange is H5236, Nakar, foreign, alien, foreignness, that which is foreign, foreignness, foreign gods, alien, foreigner, foreign vanities, a foreign or abstractly heathendom, alien strange.
So it's nothing righteous. I also see it also means abnormal. And then we have stranger. One who can be alien to your nationhood, alien to your doctrine. Now, it says that in 1 Kings 11, Solomon had many strange wives. Now the law tells us not to marry outside of our heritage, marry other nations because the other nations were in, let's hit that. They were inherently corrupted. Leviticus 22. Oh, we're gonna hit that. We got to hit that. The priest being married to the
Testament of Solomon, the end of the Testament of Solomon, he tells us about going into a strange life and how they took him down.
Yeah, well, we'll see it in 1 Kings 11. It says he followed their hearts. King Solomon wrote the first satanic Bible. Now, this is a righteous king. But through his old age, he started catering to the whims and wants of his strange wives who never let go of their pagan gods. He was allowing them to keep, he never told them to get rid of them gods, get rid of them altars, none of that. He was pacifying them. It's okay. I'll just come see y'all when I need to, you know, y'all. And then he started building groves for them, for their gods, to worship their gods. That was the problem. Likewise in Ezra, those strange wives that a lot of Israel had taken on and had started having these children, they were having those children that we were reading about in the Wisdom of Solomon 16, these ungodly children who were coming up and they were ascribing to the pagan and traditions of the heathens of the land. That's why he said you got to get rid of them, because the multitude has become so mixed and foul that the Levites start allowing some cats to become Levites, dressing them up as Levites. So they start having to check the register, and a lot of them names weren't written. He's like, wait a minute, we got a whole bunch of people posing as Israel that ain't Israel. Lying children. If you're a liar, you're not following the righteousness of the Most High. You can't be. Matter of fact.
Elijah, I want to bring out that the Lord called us strangers too before.
That's right. We were strangers in the land.
Yes, Acts 7, Acts
Go on and read it.
Acts
We're
13.
gonna get some other
17.
stuff. We're gonna get some understanding here. So we're gonna hit that 1 Kings 11.
It's Acts
What else
13.
you want? Come on, brother.
No. Acts 13, verse 17.
What it say, bro?
The God of this people of Israel chose our fathers and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt, and with an high arm brought he them out of it. Known as strangers too.
Yeah,
in that land.
we were strangers in lands. We were until we were given our own land.
Right.
But we'll see that a lot of these other, let's hit this Leviticus 22 for the sister so she can see that there was a law about the Levitical priest giving his daughter unto marriage to a stranger. Also see in Leviticus chapter 24 how there's one law unto the stranger and one law unto Israel, and that the Most High God is one lawgiver of righteousness.
Talked about 9.
Leviticus is 22.
Yeah.
19.
The meat is at 12, but if you want to start at 9, do what you do.
I'm going to read in the book of Leviticus, chapter 22. We'll start it at about verse 9. Get some understanding. And it reads, they shall therefore keep mine ordinance, lest they bear sin for it, and die therefore. If they profane it, I, the Most High, do sanctify them. There shall no stranger eat of the holy thing, a sojourner of the priest, or an hired servant shall not eat of the holy thing.
So the Most High has a natural order to everything that he set down. Everything. So there's no miscommunication and no room for misunderstanding. He's talking about the stranger. He says the stranger, even though things are created, the holy things are created, which are for Israel, you know, though the stranger be sojourning amongst Israel, they can't eat of the holy things. Certain things they just can't partake of, just like we read about the Revelations chapter 11, where it says the court of the Gentiles. They have salvation. See, a lot of Negroes will say that whether heathen or or other nations can't have salvation. Well, if they're alive during the 1,000-year reign, is that not salvation? To serve, is that not salvation? Or would you prefer to be dead and waiting for the second death? Read on, brother.
Verse 11. But if the priest buy any soul with his money, he shall eat of it, and he that is born in his house, they shall eat of his meat. If the priest's daughter also be married unto a stranger,
we got a problem.
She may not eat of an offering of the holy things. But if the priest's daughter be a widow or divorced, and have no child, and is returned unto her father's house, as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's meat. But there shall no stranger eat thereof.
Okay, so now we're talking about the daughter of a priest married unto a stranger. That ain't Israel not knowing he Israel. That's a stranger who's not of Israel. Give me that Acts 16. Now remember, 1 John 3 talks about those who follow the righteousness doctrine of the Most High is the child of God, right? Those who follow the doctrine and the unrighteousness of Satan is the child of Satan, right? Right. Okay. Just want to get that understood before we hit this Acts 16:1.
Is that the setup?
Starting at verse 1.
Yeah, we're starting at 1. And there's a reason why we want that understood, because and it's funny when we get into conversations about the heathen can't gain salvation. Everybody in here is Israel. Ain't no other nations. Ain't no. We got a problem. We got a major problem, because the Most High didn't just make Israel on this earth. He made other people. There are other nations. This is a book of nationhood. Not only just our manual to live in life, a long life, but it's a book about nationhoods. If you don't know nothing about nationhood, you will not understand what's going on here. You have to know nationhood. And you have to get out being stuck on stupid and glued to dumb because you want to see it the way you want to see it through your own eyes. Lean not to your own understanding.
That's right.
It ain't about you. Your life ain't your own. Our lives ain't our own. We have been lent this body to perform a service. We get it twisted. I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. No, you can't. You can if that's your free will, but you're gonna have to be paid for that. You gotta pay for that. That attitude, you gotta pay for it. Think the Most High ain't hearing your murmuring, your backbiting and talking? What do you do to Miriam?
That's it.
Huh? Why? She was talking crazy about the one who the Most High had anointed her brother, her baby brother. It's the same way with when all the boys, they thought they was going to be the one next in line to be the king. And he said, no, it's David, the youngest boy. That's the one who I'm looking for. But all his big brothers were skilled in war. These cats was strapped. It's a little bitty old 14, 15-year-old cat. But he became the king. Powerful. Acts 16:1.
Acts chapter 16, verse 1. Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there.
A certain disciple was there. What's a disciple? Follower of Christ. Down for him, right? Okay, read on.
named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed, but his father was a Greek.
Uh-oh, we got a problem, don't we? We got a problem. We got a mixed child here.
Disciple.
But he a disciple. Put in work and was persecuted and murdered for his work that he put in the name of Christ. Had the same powers as all the others. How? His mama was a Jew, his daddy was a Greek. We got a problem with those who say it's only for Israel only. This dude's daddy was a white man. But his mother was a Jew who believed. So he was instructed by that one parent or that side who believed. Now, it doesn't state in here whether his father believed or not. But he had to believe something for him to lay down with his Jew. In these times, now mind you, Israel occupied, were living in all scattered all four corners of the earth. So we lived in all lands and everything, just like we do now. But we get Israel that condemn brethren for marrying outside of their race.
Right.
We don't know what the situation may be. But we condemning people for things we know not of. And if they followers of Christ, according to Leviticus chapter 22, Leviticus chapter 24, we read that where the Most High says there's one law unto the stranger who sojourns among you. And how do you sojourn among? They have to circumcise their flesh and their hearts. Good. Follow your God, your righteousness. So he said he's the God of them as well. So they should be counted as a brother to you and a sister. When the boys came looking for Christ and he was in the synagogue, he says, your mother and your brother stand without. He said, who is my mother? Who is my father? Those who do the will of my father, the same as my mother and my brother. Did he say, no, only these black Israelites? No. Is that what he said? If he did, tell me so I can find it and I can be right. I can be reproved. Is it in there? Read on, brother. We got any more on that? Yeah, read on, because
Verse 2, which was well reported of by the brethren that were enlisted, and Iconium. Him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him because of the Jews which were in those quarters, for they knew all that his father was a Greek.
So Paul said, yeah, I got to circumcise them in the flesh too, because, you know, all these Israelites are going to find occasion to accuse him and say, man, he can't be down. His daddy white. Just like we got now. We done had that issue in this house before. Somebody clowning. We had a brother that was part of us named Lenny, full-blooded Italian, of the Sicilian band. Went through all kind of persecutions for being with us, through his family, and then also through Israel. We had a brother in our house who threatened the brother. Now this dude was putting in work way more than the cat who threatened him. The cat who threatened him ain't nowhere around now. Gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Cuckoo. When I say cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And you know why? It's because he could not prove the fact that other nations could be grafted in. It drove him mad. He's still mad to this day. This was back in 2000. No, it was 1990s. Still mad to this day. Couldn't get a grip of it because he trusted in the physical appearance of Israel, the outward appearance of Israel. Couldn't accept. You know what he said to me? I'm tired of everywhere we go. They there too. They shouldn't be allowed to come in here and worship our God too. He provoked to jealousy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pissed. But he got Deuteronomy 32 back in his face. Just like we provoked the Most High with strange gods. He said, I'm going to provoke you to jealousy with a people that ain't even a nation. So likewise, I just wanted to hit that because of that. Let's get into these. What time we got? What time we working with now?
4 o'clock.
Okay, we got about an hour, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into these meats. Before we jump into these meats, I wanted to show y'all something in Genesis chapter 7, because a lot of times when we talk about clean, unclean, you know how people get into the story of Noah and the ark, and they always talk about the 2 by 2, but they never bring out the 7 by 7.
Right.
It's amazing how Shabbat Shalom, you all. It's amazing how the world. No, it's not amazing because the world is following the ways of his who's given into the hand of the wicked. So therefore, he's promoting the wicked doctrine. But you notice how every time they talk about Noah's Ark, they always talk about the animals 2 by 2, the unclean animals. Nobody ever talks about the clean animal, 7 by 7. Why? It goes to show you that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and he's promoting a wicked doctrine upon mankind. I want y'all to also write something down, because we probably won't hit it today, about a liar, because that's what Satan was in the garden, a liar. Write this down. You can attach this to your Genesis chapter 3, where he asked, and he's lying to the sister, to our mama Eve. This is the book of Sirach, chapter, man, I better put on my vision, boy. Chapter 20. Verse 22 down to 26. They talk about a liar. How foul a liar is. No good. Genesis chapter 7. I just want to hit this real quick so that y'all have it for your arsenal. So when your children come home or go or they're at Granny's house and they get a little Bible study or whatever, Granny want to see if they know the Bible, and they talk about Noah and his animals, and you know, all the children get taught Noah, the story of Noah. And they say, yeah, he took 2 of every kind, 2 by 2, 2 by 2, 2 by 2. We need to know the truth. We need to know the truth about these things.
7 what? 1 through 4.
Go down to 9.
That is it?
Yep. Let's jump down to 9. It's amazing how they'll jump from 1 there. Boy, it ain't amazing. It's just, you better know your enemy. You better know your enemy. Because a great offense is a good defense. Know your enemy. Study your enemy. That's why boxers study their opponents. Video. Football, baseball, they study their opponents' plays. See what their weak points and their strengths are. Know your opponent. Because trust me, there are some who are more knowledgeable and advanced in their wicked understanding and doctrine than you are in your righteousness. Be careful. Choose your battles wisely. Because if you don't, you'll be a converted Muslim, Christian, 7-day adventurer.
Right. Let's get it.
Genesis chapter 7, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 7, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house unto the ark. For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by seven.
By how many?
By seven.
Clean.
Clean beasts. You see that? Mark it, show your babies. Because they teaching them the unclean way. Shabbat shalom, brethren. Teach them the clean way. Because this is what they're filling their heads up with, the unclean. Read on.
Thou shalt take to thee by sevens the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female.
So the ones that's getting brought in 2 by 2 are the unclean. You don't need to fill the world with uncleanness. Fill it with righteousness. Clean. The unclean has its purpose. It has its purpose. It has its duty. The catfish has its job. The shrimp has its job. The pig has its job. The swan has its job. The duck has its job. Even unrighteous men have their job. And righteous men have their job. Read on, bro.
Verse 3, of fowls also of the air by seven, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him, into the ark, because of the waters of the flood, of clean beasts, and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in 2 and 2 unto Noah unto the ark, the male and the female, as Jehovah had commanded Noah.
Okay, that's all I needed. Let's get into this. Go to Leviticus 11. Excuse me just a second. I need to use the restroom real quick. Leviticus 7 and Deuteronomy 14, so we can get these clean and unclean beasts for
Leviticus 7 or 11? 7.
Oh,
Yeah. We hold it, man. Go ahead and get that on there.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts that shall ye eat. Verse 4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that cheweth the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof. He is unclean to you. And the coney, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hair,
Correct, yep.
because he cheweth the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Bro, can you pull up Coney? Sis got a question. What's a Coney? Yeah. That's in verse 5.
I think both of them are in.
Yeah, they're rabbits.
Rabbits.
Right.
Say like a rabbit or a hare. Jackrabbits.
Big rabbit.
So a coney, that's what that is too?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
But get the true meaning so we have an understanding, y'all. It's all about us getting understanding. With all our getting, get the understanding. So, you know, we don't want to be guessing.
Coney is H8227. Shafar, rock, badger, coney, the hyrax, non-masculine, secretary of scribe of King Joshua of Judah. Father of, no, this is their first one. Rock, badger, coney, the hyrax.
It's a rodent of some sort.
Yeah.
Look like a rat.
Because the rest of the story given is men that was named. A species of rock rabbit from its hiding that is probably the hyrax coney.
We're verse 6.
Verse 6. And the hair, because he cheweth the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you.
Rabbit.
And the swine, though he divided the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you.
Right.
Of their flesh shall you not eat, and their carcass shall you not touch. They are unclean to you.
He even goes so far as to say, don't even touch it. You know why? Because these things that he tells us not to eat that are considered unclean also carries the characteristics of unclean meaning that we're not to associate ourselves with. And we'll read that later on. But they have the same characteristics. A pig will not work for his own living wages. He wait for you to work and then he'll eat your stuff. He a thief, a beggar, a vagabond, no good bastard. Just like a man. A nigga won't eat, he won't work for his own living. He sit back and mooch off yours. And eat it all.
Yep.
Won't even leave you none. Oh, my bad. Oops, you wanted that? My bad. Dog, let me get that. You gonna eat that?
You gonna eat your
cornbread. So likewise, he says, have no company with a slothful man, a beggar, a moocher. They won't feed themselves. They won't even go to work to feed their own bellies. They wait back and rob you.
Yes.
Read on, brother.
Verse 9. These shall you eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
So just like likewise in the garden, I set before you good and evil. Choose up. Good and evil, clean and unclean. I give you a choice. Though I made both good and the evil, or the unclean, they all have a specific purpose. He didn't create evil. Evil was found in Satan in his transgression. He created all righteous things. And he saw in their time they were good in their season. For their specific purpose is good. Now, whether we are to eat or not eat, he's telling us. We have options. Choose right that you may live. You keep eating swine and all this other stuff, what happens to your body, your temple? Dis-ease. First thing they tell us, the doctor tell us, you got to lay off that swine. You got to give up the pork. It kills us. It's not made for us. Hollywood tells us a lot. If you look at Roots, he told us, they were telling us who we were, Israelites. If you go into Roots, and I'm gonna try to make this quick. In the first episode, Kunta Kinte, before he was captured and brought to America, there's a scene where he's talking with his grandma, Maya Angelou, in the land, West Africa, Ghana. And they chilling, and she talking about you're gonna make your baby brother a drum and all that. Well, behind them, you have to watch. Look at it again if you haven't seen it in a while. There's a scene where they talking, and there's these natives in the background. Now, mind you, all through this time, they all dressed up. Maya Angelou got a head wrap, but there's this other nation that's cohabitating with them who are half naked. Breasts is out, running with a loincloth, and also they're carrying a swine to go eat. We got two different nations here. But if you're looking for entertainment, it goes right over your head. You missed it. They letting you know there's two different nations that were dwelling in that particular land at that time. One group of people were half naked, primitive, and ate swine. This other group of people were very modern and dressed and fully dressed and had culture, had laws, statutes, and judgments.
Oh, man. Right.
When they came over to America, when Kunta Kinte was a slave and Fiddler came to feed him, he said, food. He looking, he like, what? He said, that's pork. You know pork? He looking like, oh, he go like a pig. He slapped it out his hand. He let him know, I don't eat that. But he took the grits.
Right.
He ate the grits. He said, grits, dummy? Well, grits, dummy. He didn't want the meat. He didn't want the king's meat. Give me the pulse and the grain. I'll survive off of that, like Daniel and them. I don't want the king's meat. That's against our custom. That's against my heritage and laws and statutes and judgment. I don't eat swine. So where is he coming from with that? Go back and watch it for understanding this time.
That's right. That's right.
Information, not entertainment. Where we at, bro?
I like it on that. They was showing he didn't even think about it. You know he had to be hungry.
Yeah, he was starving, but he didn't blush about it. Smacked his hand immediately because that face he made and that noise, he knew exactly what he was talking about. And he smacked it out his hand. He got violent with it. And I'll kill you. You try to offer me something like that and make me defile myself before my God.
Especially after they showed people in the land that he was taken from and certain others were eating it.
Right.
So he was aware of it.
He was very aware. Very aware. Look at Amistad. When the white boy come, he said, you come from here? He drew a continent of Africa. He said, is this where you come from? Brother Sinke looked, he said, no. I come from somewhere further than that. He walked all the way till you couldn't see him no more. He said, I come from over here. So he's denying Africa as his heritage. Then what's his heritage? Come on, people, we got to read between the lines. Stop looking for entertainment and look for information. They're giving it to you. Stop letting it go over your head. Read it, brother.
Verse 11. They shall be an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
Catfish. Slimy. Look like Jesse Jackass by the face. That's Jesse Jackson, that is. Lobster. Scrimps. Ocean roaches. Lobster. Crawfish. What's the crabs?
Scallops, oysters.
Crabs. Ain't them public villains? That's nasty. Oh, that's nasty. Crab cakes. All right, read on.
Verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle and the ostrich and the osprey and the vulture and the kite after his kind.
Now check this out. Now what do these animals do? They sit perched up and they swing down and grab their prey. Like a thief, like a murderer. They lay in wait, sit perched up like a vulture. A vulture will come down and eat. Some already dead of itself. It won't work for its own food. He wanted to die by itself. He won't go out to kill it. He just wait for it to die. Scavenger. He waiting for the easy kill. Get rich quick schemes. Because I don't want to work. I'm gonna spend my whole day playing lotto. Or just doing chains. My whole life is based on chains. Read on.
It says, and the vulture and the kite after his kind. Even raven, every raven after his kind. And the eye, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little eye, and the cormorant, and the great eye, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gar eagle.
Now this is also of the duck family. The duck is of the swan family.
It ain't so.
We had a brethren that went toe-to-toe with us about duck. Boy, he loved him some duck. I ain't hear you, brother. Yeah, on that duck, boy. Didn't want to let that duck go. But it's of the swan family. It's a half bird, half foot fish. Half bird, half fish. Water and air.
Think about all the grease that comes from it. Come on now.
Now, see, a lot of people say the chicken is just as nasty.
What about the goose being that family?
The goose, yes.
Ain't no goose.
Yes, that's part of that family as well. I'm sorry? Yeah, they got webbed feet. That's what I'm saying. It's half fish, half bird. But it has its purpose. Read on.
And the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All the fowls that creep, going upon all four, shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them ye may eat, the locust after his kind, and the ball locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
This is what John the Baptist ate. Yeah, they full of nutrients and everything. Yeah. Right now, you ain't gonna be looking at no beetle to eat or nothing. You got choices. got choices. I ain't gotta eat no beetle. I'm finna go eat me a burger. I want a beetle.
What about, when you drink fruit juice, anything that's red comes from that?
So you use that to make the color red.
Yeah. So we got it in us. I remember I used to go camping when I was little, and they used to always call the juice bug juice. I remember we would not drink it for a minute, but when you get hungry, you get thirsty, man. You're like, give me some bug juice. That was all at the table. But there's gonna come that time, but you look in John the Baptist's meat was of wild locusts and honey. So these are things that when, you know, we're in the wilderness, we have to, you know, the Most High has given us the things that we can eat. He's telling us when it becomes, and it gets hard and unbearable, I got things reserved in this earth for you. Meat and medicine. We got to get back to trusting in what the Most High has given us and stop relying upon man.
That's
because
right.
man has made us sick. We sick. Most High has given us herbs and meat, fruit and vegetables to eat with. Y'all get up there at the garden and get some of that fresh vegetables and herbs and everything. You'll see the difference when you cook with your food with that. I love going outside in my garden and picking my own stuff and cooking it in my food. It tastes so much better.
Yeah.
I got peppers that's smelling up my whole kitchen, picked from my own garden, man. You go to the grocery store, you don't, that fruit and vegetables don't have no smell.
No smell.
And then notice how long it lasts. Pick something from the garden, take it home. If you don't eat it within a day or two, it goes bad. Let you know what's good, what's not, clean and unclean. Let's start trusting back in our God, in our Elohim. He is providing everything we need. He has made us self-sufficient. He has created us to be self-sufficient. But through our wanting and our lust to follow other nations and everything, we have become dependent upon man and his foul ways. And we sick. We sick, we dying. Read on, bro.
23. All other flying creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean until the evening. And whosoever bird off the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening.
So this goes back to Leviticus 14, goes to Leviticus 14 and 15 and about cleansing ourselves and the laws of purification and things of this nature. Okay, how to make that which is unclean clean again. Certain times where we must remove ourselves from the camp if we're unclean. From unrighteous ways, unrighteous thoughts. Just like when doing a Passover. Don't come to the Passover if you got malice in your heart and eat the Passover unworthily. Is that physical or is that spiritual? Spiritual. That's spiritual. Because that's in the heart. Manifested from the mind first, then transmitted to the heart. And then when you act upon it, it's manifested. Finish that up, Rob.
Verse 26. The carcasses of every beast which divideth the hoof and is not cloven-footed, nor cheweth the cud, are unclean unto you. Everyone that toucheth them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all fours, those are unclean unto you. Whosoever toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the evening. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. They are unclean unto you. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, and the mouse, and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole.
As people eat snails.
That's for it goes.
That's for it goes.
Nastiness. Nasty people.
These are unclean to you among all that creepeth. Whosoever doth touch them, when they be dead, shall be unclean until the evening. And upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, doth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood, or raiment, or skin, or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work is done. It must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the evening, so it shall be cleansed. And every earthen vessel wherein any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and ye shall break it. Of all meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean. Wherein it be oven or ranges for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you.
So he's breaking down the clean and unclean of the utensils, the pots, the oven, all of that. Most High is very specific in his instructions unto us, that there's no room for confusion or misunderstandings. It's not the author of confusion. So he gives it to us plain as day. So even a baby can understand. Read on.
And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean. Whether it be oven or ranges for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you. Nevertheless, a fountain or pit, wherein there is plenty of water, shall be clean, but that which toucheth that carcass shall be unclean. And if any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed, which is to be sown, it shall be clean. But if any water be put upon the seed, any part of the carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you. And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the evening. And he that eateth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall be not eaten. It shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all four, or whatsoever hath more feet, among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Ye shall not make yourself abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourself unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby.
Anything that creepeth, is that only animals and insects? Or what about a creeping person? Don't a snake person crawl upon the belly? Satan was called a snake and a serpent, that old serpent. Was he crawling on his belly when he performed his thing, his works? When we call a man a snake or a snake woman, are they moving about on their belly? They creeping? What we call it? He creeping. They creeping. Sneaking. But is there anything good attached to creeping?
No.
Wicked.
It's wicked. If it wasn't so, you wouldn't be creeping.
That's right. That's right.
You be bold in your walk. So like my children, they creeping. I'm like, what you creeping for? Nothing. I ain't did nothing. You're doing something because you creeping around your own house. You up to no good. So now I gotta go looking. There's something wrong. Because he's sneaking in your own house. Why? What you doing? What you got? Nothing. Turn around. Oh, my son Judah get me, boy. He get me, man. Gotta watch this little dude. Finish that on out, bro.
Verse 44.
Yeah.
For I am Yahweh, your power. You shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and you shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Most High said, be holy, for he is holy, and he chose us. We're the first fruits, so we have to be holy like he. Be like your father. Not like Mike. Read on, bro.
For I am Yahweh, that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your power. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moveth in the waters and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten.
Okay, so it's very clear and plain. I put before you good and evil, righteousness and unrighteousness, clean and unclean. Let's hit this, go to Acts chapter 10. Put that Deuteronomy 14 with that, because that reiterates the dietary law, the foods that are eaten and not eaten. Yes. Yes, sir.
Trying to work out this duck thing, man.
Swan, brother.
Yeah.
Swan.
It's part of the swan.
I think swan is the female version.
The swan is the other swan family.
Swan.
The duck is of the swan family. Now, people will say that the chicken is foul too. The chicken has a gizzard. It has a filter system. It has 2 stomachs.
Not supposed to eat the gizzards, though.
No, because that filter, you ain't supposed to eat any internal organs.
No organ meat.
Just the flesh thereof, not the organs, not the blood. Because if you see in the books of Leviticus and how Moses was instructed on how to sacrifice these animals, how to remove the gall, the heart, the intestines, and things of this nature, and what side of the altar he was supposed to place them on and burn them, and things of this, what side he was supposed to pour out the blood and things of this nature. So we have specific instructions on how to sacrifice, how to separate our meat, how to cook our meat, prepare our food. It's all in there. This is our instruction manual.
Mm-hmm.
Follow this, you have long shelf life. Do not follow this, you void your warranty. Right. Right. Warranty void. What'd you do to it? You damaged the goods. You can't take that back. What was that? In Leviticus 20, you say verse 20? You want 20 through 26, brethren?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
26. You want that Leviticus 20 and 20 and 20?
22.
22.
Okay. Leviticus 20, 22. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes.
Everybody there?
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 22. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation, which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit the land, their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am Yahweh your power, which have separated you from other people. Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I am Yahweh, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. A man also or woman that have a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them.
No doubt. Let's hit that, before we go into the Acts 10 and show me, let's go also into these other scripts that show that Israel is a holy seed, a clean seed. And we show the difference between the nations and how the nations inherently are a corruptible seed. Then we're going to show how Israel has defiled its clean way by following the iniquitous ways of this unclean nations. And then that also brings us into clean and unclean doctrines as well. But here, Exodus 19, 4 through 6, Leviticus 19, 1 through 4.
We go into the book of Exodus, reading from the 19th chapter, starting at verse 4, and it reads, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
So if we follow the righteousness of the doctrine of the Most High, then we will be considered a holy seed, a peculiar people. Because our ways are strange to those who are not chosen. And we're strange unto us. That Leviticus 19, 1 through 4. Then we jump on, because there's many other ones, Deuteronomy 4, Joel 2, Amos. I mean, we can go on and on forever. about Israel being chosen. We know this. I just want to show how we're chosen to be a holy seed. We're of a clean vine. And then we're going to show the opposite, because for the sake of time, we got to start pressing forward. We're trying to get this understanding, squeeze in as much as we can, so that we leave here with an understanding about the difference between the clean, the unclean, the dietary laws of the body and soul.
Reading in the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, starting at verse 1. Everybody there? Let's get some understanding. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Most High, your Elohim, am holy. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Most High, your power. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Most High, your Elohim. You want more of that?
No, that's good. Let's go jump over to Leviticus 22 and 22 and 25 is what I want. Started verse 24 and 24 and 25 is what I want.
Okay.
24, 30, 24.
Yeah. Yep. 24 and 25 is all I want.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 22 and verse 24. Ye shall not offer unto the Most High that which is bruised, or crushed, or broken, or cut, neither shall ye make any offering thereof in your land. Neither from a stranger's hand shall ye offer the bread of your Elohim of any of these, because their corruption is in them, and blemishes be in them. They shall not be accepted for you.
So he's saying that these other nations are not like Israel. They have blemishes in them. They have done things, they sacrificed to idols because our power wasn't given unto them. So until they came into the knowledge of righteousness, they was in darkness worshiping devils, doctrines of devils. Deuteronomy 9 and 4, 4 and 5.
Is that where you want to go?
Yeah, or you just say, okay. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, brother.
Deuteronomy what?
9, 4 and 5. Verse 4 and 5.
Four and 5. Reading in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, starting at verse 4. And it reads, Speak not thou in thine heart, after that the Most High thy Elohim hath cast them out from before thee, saying, For my righteousness the Most High hath brought me into possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations, the Most High doth drive them out from before thee. Not for thy righteousness, or for the uprightness of thine heart, dost thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations, the Most High thy power doth drive them out from before thee, and that he may perform the word which the Most High sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
You could hit 6 too.
Understand therefore that the Most High thy God giveth thee not this good land to possess it for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people.
Okay, hit that Jeremiah 10. Jump over to this Jeremiah 10. Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Shabbat shalom.
Then we gotta jump down, we gotta get into this Acts 10 real quick, because so that there's an understanding of people using this Acts 10 to say, the Lord say, oh, you can eat pork. We gotta hit that Romans 14 too, because they use that as well to say it's permissible to eat swine and whatever they want, not to judge me in meats and everything, but they have absolutely no understanding of what that Romans 14 is really talking about. And we'll get some understanding because the Messiah is talking about it and giving an answer about it in Matthew 15. And also Paul is giving an answer to it in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. So we get an understanding of what that Romans 14 was talking about. What had nothing to do with eating a swine and everything is, we can eat whatever. Because then the Most High would be, that's confusing. If you tell your child not to do something and then turn around and say, okay, you can do it. Will he not be confused? Will he not stand there for a while pondering? Wait a minute. I know for a long time he's been telling me I can't do this. Now he's saying I can. Is this a trick he's trying to bait me in for an ass whooping?
Like you leave it out and say, lock the door, don't open the door for nobody.
Man.
You tell them not to let anybody in.
Jeremiah 10 and 1. Read on down to 8, 1 through 8.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord, which speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Most High, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them.
So he's saying, learn not their ways. Or we not scattered to the four corners, dwelling amongst the nations of heathens. What is a heathen? Because Israel could be a heathen too. What is a heathen? Can we get that dictionary? Can we get the definition of it? Of heathen? What exactly is a heathen? Because you remember Esther used to call Fred Sanford a heathen all the time. You old heathen fool. Heathen is one who does not believe in the Most High God, the Creator and His only begotten Son at all. Like an antichrist.
Heathen is H 1471. Go eat. Nation, people, now masculine. Nation, people, usually of non-Hebrew people, of descendants of Abraham, of Israel, of swarm of locusts or other animals.
That it?
In the sense of massing a foreign nation, hence a Gentile, also figuratively a troop of animals or a flight of locusts. Gentile, heathen, nation people.
Well, Gentiles that have no belief in the Creator. But Israel can become a heathen too. If they deny their heritage and deny the righteousness of He who created them, can be considered a heathen too. So it says, learn not the ways of the heathen. Be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven. Read on.
For the custom of the people are vain, worthless. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with an axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot know.
Meaning you have to water them. When they go and get these Christmas trees out of the forest and they chop them down and then they bring them in the house, they got to put them in them little stands and screw them, fasten them so it don't sway to the left or the right. And then they got to put water in it. Its needs must be born because you have removed it from its natural planting or sowing and watering. So now you have to manually do it. Read on.
Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Who will not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it appertain, for as much as among all the wise men of the nations and in all their kingdoms there is none like unto thee. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanity.
It says their doctrine is a doctrine of vanities. It's not a clean doctrine. So he says, learn not their ways. Don't follow their doctrine. It's full of wicked traditions that will steer you away from the Most High. Jump back over into that Jeremiah chapter 9 and hit that verse 25 and 26.
Jeremiah 9,
Acts 10.
Verse 25. Behold, the days come, said the Most High, that I will punish all of them which are circumcised with uncircumcision.
With the uncircumcised.
With the uncircumcised.
So he's saying the day is going to come where the clean going to be punished with the unclean. Those who supposed to be circumcised are going to be punished with an uncircumcised.
Okay.
Read on.
Verse 26. Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness, for all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart.
There we go. Let's jump over to this Acts chapter 10 so we can get some understanding about this evening with Peter, this vision. Rise, Peter, kill and eat.
You want to get that 1 Timothy 4 too?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
You know.
No diggity, no doubt.
I was just gonna say, you know, we're right at 5 o'clock hour.
All week?
Yes, sir.
It's 5?
Yeah, time sure flies.
I knew it would, bro.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to probably take the notes and get to those scripts and close out. Well, the little security guard come down here with his stick and his pencil and paper.
So
yeah,
flicking the lights. Last call for alcohol. Y'all get out of here. Yeah. What time do you usually run down here?
We try not to push. We usually be out of here by about 9.
Right. Okay.
We'll be close to that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is what we're gonna do. I tell you what, y'all. So, because I don't want to stress nobody or stress the powers that be. Write these scripts down, and y'all can study these on your own. Okay. And I apologize to you all, to the assembly and to the worldwide assembly, that we didn't get to all the scripts that we wanted to get to pertaining to this dietary law of the body and soul and the clean and unclean meats. However, I'm going to give you scriptures that you can read these things, study these things for yourself, that you don't miss it, because I would hate for anything to happen to any one of us, anybody in the worldwide assembly, and they not get this understanding. We don't want to leave anybody with a cliffhanger or anything of that nature, because we are Israel, we are watchmen, and we're supposed to give our people, our brethren, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and warnings on how to keep themselves safe in this foul world in which Satan has a hold on. So we were going to go to Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10, and if you read the whole chapter. Every time there's a scripture given, please read the whole scripture. Now, we may go to a specific verse so that you get right to the heart of the matter, but read the whole chapter in its entirety so you have a full gist of what it's all about. Okay? It's just like in school, the teacher tells you start at the beginning. Don't start in the middle, because then you're only getting half of the understanding. A lot of times we go, for the sake of time, we go straight to a script or a verse and everything for the sake of time and all. But in the comforts of your own homes and tents or whatever, and dwellings, you know, get with all like get the understanding. So we were going to go to Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10, Christians will use this to say that they can eat pork. It's not so. Read the whole chapter, and you'll see that it's not dealing with common men, common and uncommon foods, or clean and unclean foods, but common and uncommon folk, people. You'll see that in Matthew, let's see, what is it? Matthew 7:27, Mark 7:27, Matthew 15:22 through 28. The woman, John 4:9, the woman of Samaria, where she met Christ, and he says, I have that water, that living water. Mm-hmm. And she said, Jews aren't supposed to have company with anybody that's not of Israel with another nation. So she knew there was a clean nation, unclean nation, and that we weren't supposed to have any dealings with each other, okay? Because Israel is supposed to be a holy nation and not given unto heathens, okay? You go from that Acts chapter 10, read all the way down, you'll see it's not talking about the food, but it's talking about the people. Romans 14, they use that as well as to say that, see here also we can eat swine. If you start at the beginning, you see it's about one who is weak in faith. What is faith? Hebrews chapter 11, write that next to your chapter, verse 1 of that, what I just, Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11 and 1 next to Romans 14 and 1, because faith, when it says he that is weak in the faith, we first have to know what is faith. Mm-hmm. It's the substance, it's the hope and the substance of things hoped for, unseen. Well, what are you hoping for that's unseen? That's the kingdom. How do you make it to the kingdom? By doing the law, statutes, and judgments. So in order to have faith, you have to already have the law, the righteousness of the law in you already. What else are you looking for if you don't have the righteousness of the law? What you gonna be looking for? What's your hope then? What are you hoping in? Right.
Well, you're proceeding at no foundation on us.
No foundation. So when you hit that Romans 14, see that that Hebrews 11 about faith, because it also ends in faith, that Romans 14, but also go to that Matthew chapter 15 with that Romans 14. Because Christ is talking about is that which coming out the mouth of a man that defiles a man, not that which go into the belly, because it comes out in the drop. Okay, Romans 14 is dealing with that, because there are some who are eating meat, some that abstain from meat for whatever reasons. They may have a health issue that they can't eat. They have to abstain from meat. Some may charge them and flex on them. Well, how you gonna eat the Passover? Mm-hmm. It's all spiritual. We live in the order of Melchizedek. It's spiritual now. Consume it spiritually. Just like we were seeing in Ezekiel chapter 3, where he says, take this roll and eat it. Consume it down. That you have an understanding of these words, that you may teach it to your brethren. Spiritual eating. Clean and unclean. Okay. Also, that goes with that Romans 14. Put that 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Paul breaks it down in its entirety, the whole chapter. It's going to give you a clear understanding about what that Romans 14 is about. It has nothing to do with me. It's about dealing with your brethren who is stumbling, who's trying to get it, and just having some issues. We got to be patient with our brethren. Most High says, and Paul says, I raised y'all, I taught you with milk. We got to be weaned on the milk before we can stomach and consume meat. Otherwise, you're going to throw it up. You ain't going to be able to hold it down. It's too strong for you. Learn little things. Understand small things first, so that in experience and in maturity, you'll start to learn and understand greater things. But if you don't understand earthly things, you damn sure ain't finna understand spiritual things, heavenly things. So let's get it right. All right. Also, you'll see, take these scripts down too, because with that that Acts 10, you have the whole conversation of people saying, well, Cornelius was an Israelite that just didn't know. Romans 11, the grafted in of the Gentiles. If he was a wild olive branch, then why would he? I mean, it just don't make sense, y'all. If he's an Israelite that didn't know, and then he come into the understanding, isn't he of the natural branch? Why would he still be considered a wild olive branch then? Don't make sense. Come on. Let's get out of this old physical appearance and this black nationalist movement ideology. Get out of it. That's why we went to Acts chapter 16 to show you a disciple of a mixed heritage. Now you're gonna trust me, you're gonna find a Negro knucklehead that's gonna say his daddy was just living in Greece. Shake the dust off your feet, keep it moving. That's right. Don't get drawn into no evil disputations about something that don't corner salvation.
That's right.
Take these scripts down, because this is going to take you into where the Messiah is talking about a fold that's coming that's going to be grafted in with Israel. He said there's others that's going to be part of this fold who are not. Who is these others that's part of the fold that's not of Israel? It can't be Israel that don't know. All right, Acts 18:6 is when Paul turns to the Gentiles, because the Israelites didn't want to hear it. They was finding occasions to beat them up, persecute them, and all kind of stuff, because they didn't like what he was saying. He was going against the grain. A lot of them were Masons and chew dogs and all that, living a good life because they got entitlement now to some good things. They part of a secret society. We got some good stuff over here for you. We can do these things. A lot of cats become Masons because they want to break the law and get off. My daddy was a Mason. We used to speed. He used to speed down the highway. We going out of town, get pulled over. He's like, we'll be out here in a second. Having no clue of what was going on. But my daddy back there doing some kind of funny handshakes with. And then we hop in the corner gone. Had no idea what this was all about until I got grown. When I became grown, I challenged my father, not in a disrespectful manner, but I had to alert my dad that what you into is foul and wicked. And you have traded your soul to be a part of something with some entitlement. It ain't gonna last. You're gonna die, daddy. He kicked against the pricks for a minute, but he got past that. He stopped going to the large meetings and all that. But he still wanted his symbol because it still allowed, he was lacking in faith. My pops was like, I love my dad to death, but my dad was lacking in faith. Love them to death, man, but my pops was lacking in faith. It's the truth of the matter. You know, we get caught up because we tired of living a life of wants and stress and all that, so we want to be part of something to enjoy some good things sometimes. Be patient.
Right.
The kingdom is ours. We're going to live forever if we follow the righteousness.
Like them go ride niggas, they can't see how much Jake love them, like blast them like that. Cause he tell the truth, he lying about that, them niggas know.
You see in the book of Ezekiel where Ezekiel was shown the Masons worshiping in that private room. I think it's Ezekiel chapter 8. Man, our people ate up, man. But add these to your arsenal about the Most High bringing in another multitude of people with the Gentiles. Y'all got Romans 11, the grafted in of the Gentiles. Matthew 28, 19, Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 and 20. Luke chapter 24, verse 47. John chapter 10, verse 16. Matthew chapter 8, verse 5 through 12. Luke chapter 13, verse 29. Isaiah chapter 56, 1 through 8. Now, what I want you to also do, take down these scripts and write these attach these to Romans 14, Matthew 15, 8 through 20, and your Acts. And what these scriptures that I'm going to give you is about answering the fact that our our bodies belong to the Most High. This is on loan. He did not create us to do whatever the hell we want to do when we want to do it. That ain't it. We were created just like all the other creations with a specific duty, job, purpose. We have a specific purpose to our existence. So the reason why I want you to attach these to Romans 14 and Acts 10, because a lot of people say, I can eat pork. I can do what the hell I want to do. But no, you can't according to the word of the Most High. So write these. Wisdom of Solomon, the book of the Apocrypha. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15, verse 8. Read the whole chapters. Remember this. I'm just getting to the meat of the matter. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 through 20. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Also, what I forgot to add to your arsenal, when we were in the beginning, we were talking about the word in John 1 and 1, Genesis 1, 1 through 4. You look up the word in Hebrew, it's dabar, D-A-B-A-R. That means, in Hebrew, it means divine point of view. Excuse me. So when you see the word, in the beginning was the word, divine point of view, the Most High, His only begotten Son. Translated in Greek is logos, L-O-G-O-S. It's where we get the word logic from. What is logic? Facts supported by undeniable proofs. Add this to your arsenal. Any questions, comments, concerns, any announcements? Sisters?
I'm not sure if everybody getting the email. Trying to pull together some supplies for the children here, school supplies. And anybody that want to donate supplies, not money, any type of supplies from pre-K up to fourth grade is fine. And a little bit, everybody knows she better known as a little bit. She and I are pulling together, and in 2 weeks, we're gonna divide everything and just hand out to the kids here.
For school?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all hear that? Everybody? If you have extra school supplies, or if you get school supplies, and if you can add, those alms to the household, the assembly, that we may prep our children for their next stint of education and training in this system. Remember, don't just leave your children to the system. Teach your children as well, so that they have an understanding of the clean and unclean doctrine. Trust me, they've been lied to in these schools, and now they're implementing programs where they have to be accepting of this transgender lifestyle. Be careful of what they teaching your babies, man. Ask questions when they come home. What'd you learn today? What y'all talking about? What's going on? Because trust me, there's some things that are going on in the school systems that you will not agree with. But if you don't know, they're getting your babies. They're getting our babies, because our babies are in an influential state. So we have to be very careful of what clings to their mental. They'll be influenced. And through ignorance, they'll practice that stuff. And by the time you realize and try to change it, they already in. Take it. All right. Are we good? Yeah. What about the worldwide assembly? Y'all good out there? I love y'all. May the Most High bless us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and keep us in his way, that we turn not to the left or the right, but we forever stay on this path of righteousness.
That's right.
No respect of persons, y'all.
That's right. Yes, sir.
If you see your brethren falling, man, help them up. Talk to them, warn them. Admonish your brethren. Warn them. Now, if he says, man, get the hell on away from, that's a whole nother issue. Shake the dust off your feet and keep it stepping. But don't let him bring you into damnation and start cussing and all that with him. Let him go. Don't about your business.
One love. I'm sorry.
You said what, brother?
They say we good. One love.
One love, my brethren. Household assembly. Worldwide. Much love. All right, what prayer we got?
We close out with Psalms in the 142nd chapter.
Let's do it.
All right.
Man, this word, boy, I have you going all night.
Yes, sir. We close out with the Most High's permission. In the name of his only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, lovingly known as Jesus the Christ. We read from the book of Psalms, the 142nd chapter, and it reads as follows. I cried unto the Most High with my voice. With my voice unto the Most High did I make my supplication. I poured out my complaint before him. I showed before him my trouble. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. In the way wherein I walked, have they privily laid a snare for me. I looked on my right hand and beheld, but there was no man that would know me. Refuge failed me. No man cared for my soul. I cried unto thee, O Yahweh. I said, thou art my refuge and my portion in the land of the living. Attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise thy name. The righteous shall compass me about, for thou shalt deal bountifully with me.
Hallelujah! Say that! Yahoo! Yahoo! If you got a shovel or two or whatever you may have, feel free.
Let's see.